One thing that Tony Kelly Heating and Air suggested as part of the new system installation was to replace the aging vents that I had when I originally had them installed in the house. Because as the air was blowing through the vents really hard, you could hear the vents rattling. And so we replaced all three of the vents in the ceiling. And when we did that, we also added a new vent on the side of the room so that we could change the pressure levels but not lose a volume of air that was coming into the room. And that also helped contribute to a lower noise floor. And the vents stopped rattling when the bass hits in the theater. So that was an important upgrade. These are much tighter vent little shades than the original vents that were almost, I guess, 18 years old after being in the room for that long. So that was one of the big upgrades that we did. Hey guys, my name is Jay Waller. I'm a proud customer of Tony Kelly Heating and Air of Tallahassee. I've known Chris for a long time, actually met him back in college almost 30 years ago. We're both from small towns over in West Florida, the Panhandle, but I understood that Chris and his family was in the HVAC business, and I'm always looking for reliable contractors to work in our home. And so I love to have a guy that I can call for every trade, and Chris just happens to be my HVAC company guy. And so I'm sitting in my dedicated home theater in our house here in Tallahassee, and we had a system that was installed when the house was built almost 19 years ago. And so the system over the years had been through some issues, needed maintenance over the years. Once I found out that Chris and his family, run Tony Kelly Heating and Air, I reached out to him for all my maintenance needs, and they've always got very reliable crews that, always show up when they're supposed to, and people that you can trust to work in your home, which is important to me because I was traveling, and sometimes I may not even be home whenever Chris or a maintenance crew has to show up to do something. But we had an aging unit, and our family was actually at the beach one weekend, and we were planning to come home the next day. And I was getting alerts on my phone that our temperature in the room was over 85 degrees for the upstairs. And I knew something must have been wrong. So the unit had probably been, at that point, it was probably 16 years old. So I texted Chris at like 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. We were coming home on Sunday, and said, "Hey, Chris, I got an issue with the room." And so he actually sent a tech out the next day and met us when we came home, and the blower motor had went out in our unit. And so that obviously presents a problem because I work in my home office when I'm at home. And so I couldn't sit in the middle of the summer in an 85-degree room. So anyway, long story short, we had some options to replace the blower motor with a variable speed motor, which is what the unit had initially, or a single speed motor until we were ready to replace the entire unit. And I just like the fact that he gave me options to be able to not spend as much money as I wanted to at that point in time, because nobody expects something to go out like that. And so knowing that I was going to eventually replace the entire unit whenever I upgraded my theater room, we opted to do just a single speed motor for a reduced cost. And Chris knocked that out. Everything was working great. And so we knew we were going to be replacing the unit in the future, so he was flexible with those options. Fast forward to when we started doing some substantial upgrades in the home theater room. I started chasing the noise floor of a room, which means with everything quiet in the room, how soft or how quiet can the room get? And so what we noticed was, with the audio engineers that I was working with, the air conditioner was super loud with the single speed motor, and you could hear the vents rattling when the AC was running. And so that's a no-no in the home theater world, because you want to try to achieve the lowest noise floor that you can. So Chris, knowing that we were going to reinstall a new unit and get rid of the old unit, he came out to the house and he understood my problem. He listened to exactly what I needed, which was a low noise floor without losing, cool air. And him and his design team actually installed a brand new unit that was upgraded to a variable speed motor. They installed a new trunk line in the attic so that they could get the same volume of air without the same pressure. I don't know how all that works. You'll have to ask him. The end result was that the air conditioner was completely silent. Even when it was running, you could not hear it in the home theater. And so that was goal achieved, because you want to have as low of a noise floor as you can. And so also having the variable speed motor, I noticed that the unit didn't run as long as it did. It didn't turn on and off consistently like the single speed motor did. So it actually did save energy as well by having a variable speed motor. And there were several upgrades that Chris did when they put in the unit. They upgraded the trunk line. When they did that, they also changed the return line sizes to the main unit. The room is now cool, it's quiet, and we can focus on what we do best up here, and that's watching movies.